All right, back with a few more defensive use of a firearm stories for you. We're going to start in Wichita, Kansas at a Quick Trip gas station where we have a 20-year-old male victim and an 18-year-old male victim. Several Wichita residents were wounded in late-night shootings during 2 robberies and an argument. Injuries to the 3 people shot were non-life-threatening, and all 3 incidents remain under investigation. The first incident was reported around 11:40 p.m. Saturday when officers responded to a shooting call. They found an 18-year-old Wichita man who had been shot in the right upper back. The victim was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. The man underwent surgery and is now stable. The victim was struck by gunfire after a 20-year-old victim of a robbery exchanged fire with a male suspect after the suspect started shooting at him. Officers responded to another shooting call around 11:55 p.m. in which a 19-year-old Wichita man was shot during a robbery. Officers arrived at the 2900 block of South Richmond Court, found the man who had been shot in the right lower leg. He was taken to the hospital with serious but non-life-threatening injuries. Just over an hour later, at 1:05 a.m. Sunday, officers responded to a third shooting call that injured an 18-year-old Wichita woman. Officers said the woman had been shot in the right forearm. She was taken to the hospital with serious but non-life-threatening injuries. The woman had been involved in an argument with someone when that person pulled out a gun and fired at her. Okay, so the first 2 of those 3, that last one wasn't really self-defense. She just got in an argument with somebody and ended up getting shot, which happens more often than people would like to believe. But the other 2 were people that got shot during robberies. And I actually noticed these 3 shootings in Wichita when I did my weekend shooting update. All this happened on Saturday night, Sunday morning. And I noticed it on Wichita because normally Wichita, you don't see 3 in this short of a period of time. But there were 3. That the one happened at 1:05 a.m. and when the first one started at 11:40 p.m. So we're talking a couple hours. They had 3 shootings in Wichita, and that's not normal. The first 2 were self-defense during robbery, but that third one was just, the usual people get in arguments and they settle it with a bullet and usually a murder charge. All right, so let's move to Lavaca, Port Lavaca, Texas. And the farm to market. Okay, that must be the name of a place. All right, we got an adult male victim, and our suspect, this is a home invasion, is also an adult male. A man was shot after allegedly breaking into a home. The man was taken to the Citizens Hospital before being transferred to a trauma center where he was treated for non-life-threatening wounds. The homeowner was awakened around 1 a.m. to the sound of breaking glass, and after telling his wife and children to stay put, he found a man standing in his house. After being asked to leave, the man started to approach the homeowner, who then shot him with his .38 caliber gun. The man turned around and came at the homeowner again before charging past him to lock himself in a bathroom. The homeowner got his family out and called 911. Responding officers broke down the bathroom door to find the man bleeding on the floor. Prior to the incident, Krause said the man had been reports of the man knocking and banging on doors up and down the road. The man is known to law enforcement for substance abuse and burglary. The situation is being reviewed. No charges have been filed against the homeowner, and they're not expected to be. So this is kind of a typical story in the sense of the person breaking into the house part and the guy with the gun shooting him. But this guy actually pushed past the guy to get in the bathroom and lock himself in there. So I'm not sure what was up with that. Unless this guy was on some kind of mission to die and just wanted to find a place to bleed out and was in the house hoping, the guy was going to shoot him. Because it sounds like he knocked on a bunch of doors before he finally broke into that one. But we don't know what happened, but the bad guy ended up getting shot, and he sounds like he was going to keep on breaking into houses until he got caught. So, all right, let's move on to Columbus, Ohio. At a Kroger grocery store, we got an adult male unharmed, and our suspect, Juan, 40, is 19 years old, and he was killed. And this happened at a Kroger grocery store. Or it sounds like in the parking lot. The Columbus Division of Police identified a man who was fatally shot by an armed security guard during an attempted robbery at Kroger's on Thursday night. Police said officers were called around 10:15 p.m. According to the police, a fight started inside the store over someone cutting in line, and the security guard told the men involved in the altercation to go outside. One of the men involved in the fight went back inside to pay for his groceries. When he came back out, police say the other men in the fight tried to rob him at gunpoint. One of the accused robbers was 19-year-old Juan, cuarenta. Police said one of the accused robbers fired shots, then the security guard fired his gun, wounding cuarenta. Police did not say if it was cuarenta or the other man who fired shots first. Cuarenta was taken to the Riverside Hospital and pronounced dead at 11:12 p.m. About 10 shots were fired in the parking lot. The second suspect involved in the incident ran away, and his identity is unknown. So this is, these people, someone cuts in line and makes somebody mad, and it doesn't really say who cut in front of who, and, who was the aggressor in the initial fight that started inside the store. But this is one of those things. You cannot get in altercations with people you do not know. At the grocery store, at a gas station, while driving, anywhere, you cannot get in altercations with people anymore. Because if you do, like this, these guys were waiting for this guy when he came out. They were waiting for this guy, and they were going to rob him. And they were robbing him because they got in a little altercation about somebody cutting in line, which you shouldn't do. Wait your turn like everybody else. But the one kid ends up getting shot and fatally, and he's no longer with us, so one less criminal on the streets. All right, now we're going to go to Queens, New York, where we have an adult male, 65-year-old Charles Foehner. Oh, and 32-year-old, our suspect is 32-year-old Cody Gonzalez. I actually covered this one, or I posted a video on it on one of the YouTube shorts. I just did this one. I'll read through it anyway, but I have a short on this one that I just did. A man was shot and killed, an alleged robber in Queens Wednesday morning. The 65-year-old man shot the 32-year-old man 4 or 5 times in the chest. At around 2:03 a.m., the 65-year-old man told the police the alleged robber approached him with a sharp object demanding money and cigarettes. First responders pronounced the 32-year-old man dead at the scene. A pen was discovered in the victim's hand. Surveillance video of the encounter shows the 32-year-old man approached the 65-year-old man aggressively in a driveway. The shooting happened off camera. Prior to the shooting, the 32-year-old man allegedly went on a rampage in the area, smashing an intercom windows and doors, apparently trying to break into several buildings. Officers recovered a firearm and brought in the 65-year-old man for questioning. Police said he has since been charged with criminal possession of a weapon and criminal possession of a firearm. The man didn't have a permit for the gun used in the shooting. Wow, that's too bad. I didn't hear that when I first did the story. If you want to see that, I have the short I did is just a video of the kid with the gun coming at the older guy, or the kid with a pen coming after the older guy with the gun. He was kind of like, you can watch it. It was, you see him, he's like weaving and kind of coming closer. And you could just see by the way he was acting in that there was something wrong with the kid. Well, he's not a kid, he's 32, but something wrong with the guy. And yeah, I have a video of that. I didn't know this guy was going to get charged. I didn't realize that he didn't have a permit for the gun. And I don't know what how aggressively they go after that, but this is Queens, New York, so that guy might find himself in some trouble. Okay, now we're looking at Hamlet, North Carolina, an adult male victim, and our suspect is an adult male as well. A man who refused to leave a garage at a residence on Black Smoke Drive was shot and subsequently airlifted to a trauma center. On Wednesday, May 31st, deputies were dispatched to a Hamlet residence following a report of a subject being shot. When deputies arrived, a man was found suffering from a single gunshot wound. The suspect was treated. Their status is currently unknown. Investigators learned that a homeowner was working in his garage when the male suspect entered the area of the residence. The man refused to leave after being told to do so several times, according to a press release. A female came out of the residence, and when the suspect, who refused to leave, grabbed her, the homeowner fired one shot. The investigation is ongoing. So this guy, some guy's working in his garage, the homeowner's working in his garage, and this guy goes in and just decides he's not going to leave. He's just in there. And then the guy's wife or daughter or somebody comes out and he shoots the guy because the guy grabs his daughter. All justified. And the guy, it doesn't sound like this guy, I don't think he didn't die. No, he was just injured. But, I mean, this is what you have to do to get rid of these people nowadays. So let's move on to Fort Dodge, Iowa, where we have an adult male who was our victim, who was unharmed, and our suspect is 44-year-old Bryan Gambill, and he was killed. The Fort Dodge Police Department is investigating a shooting death that happened early Wednesday morning, according to a release from the FDPD. A resident called the Webster County Law Enforcement Center shortly after 5 a.m. and said that someone was breaking into his garage and that he had shot the male. Officers and medics with the Fort Dodge Fire Department responded and located an unresponsive male who was ultimately pronounced dead. The medical examiner, as well as investigators with the Criminal Investigation Division, were brought to investigate. The investigation is ongoing and are not releasing the name of the deceased male. That's the whole story. So, I mean, the whole story is some guy's breaking into this guy's garage and he shoots him and he dies. What city? This was Fort Dodge, Iowa. Yeah, that guy should be pretty safe with shooting the guy in his garage there. And, you know, another criminal off the streets. If the judges and prosecutors aren't going to get these guys off the streets, we got to get them off one way or another. And now we're going to go to Leander, Texas, and Leander Liquors. We have an adult male victim who was unharmed, and our suspect is 22-year-old Johnny Cabrera, and he was killed. Wow, we've had a few that have been killed today on this one. A person is dead after an employee fired a gun at them during an alleged theft at Leander Liquors Wednesday night. Around 9 p.m. Wednesday, the Leander Police Department responded to an emergency call of a theft at Leander Liquors. According to the police department, when officers arrived, they were told 3 people had taken liquor bottles from the store without paying, and the store clerk fired a gun at them. Shortly after the theft call in Leander, the Cedar Park Police Department responded to a report of a person suffering from a gunshot wound, which about 1.5 miles away from the liquor store. Leander officials arrived at the scene and confirmed the person suffering the gunshot wound matched the description of one of the people involved in the alleged theft. He was identified as 22-year-old Johnny Cabrera. Cabrera died from the gunshot wounds while he was being transported to the hospital. No charges have been filed at this time. So this is Leander, Texas, which is a city or a suburb, let's probably say, of Austin, north of Austin. And this guy's, I don't know about, when they're shooting at people just for stealing, that gets into kind of iffy areas. But this is Texas, and they have stand your ground laws. And it's possible that this guy's, he's fine in this. You don't usually see too many stories of people that are working somewhere that pull out a gun and shoot them, because nowadays they tell you to just let these guys go. Especially, but in Texas, they probably aren't telling them just let the guys go. Although it's just Austin suburbs, so I don't know, that one's a 50-50. But there was just that story about that that Asian man, I think his last name was Chan, I don't remember. But he chased after some kid that he thought had stolen some water bottles or something from his store, and he chased him. The kid ran out of the store, and he chased after him, and he shot and killed him. And he's getting charges placed on him for that. So it all kind of really depends on where you live, what city you're in, what state you're in, what the laws are there. If you're a store owner or somebody working at a store, if you can shoot at somebody, because it could go either way and you could end up in jail for the rest of your life over what, they steal something worth $10. Do you really care? I suppose if you own the place, after a while it wears on you and you do care more than you really should at some times. All right, so this is our last one, and we're going to Chicago, Illinois. And we have a 31-year-old victim who was an adult male who was injured, and our suspect is 30-year-old male, and he was injured and arrested. A man accidentally shot himself before shooting another during a fight in the Loop Wednesday night. Police say 31-year-old concealed carry holder was in a fight with another man around 10 p.m. when he pulled his handgun and accidentally shot himself. Wow. In the right leg. He then shot at the offender. The incident happened on the first block of West Van Buren. The victim self-transported to Laredo Hospital in good condition. The offender, 30, was shot in the right hand and transported to Northwestern Memorial Hospital. He shot himself in the right hand. He must be a lefty. When he pulled his handgun and accidentally shot himself in the right leg. Okay, there's a typo in this. The offender was shot in the right hand. So the concealed carry holder guy shot himself in the right leg and shot the offender in the right hand. So I don't know if that's really, I guess that's self-defense. They got in a fight, and this is something too in Chicago that, the guy, yes, he's concealed carry holder, but and he legally could have the gun, but in Chicago he could still get charged for shooting at this person. So, again, know where you're at before you're shooting your gun at anybody, because you could be the one getting, even if you think you're in the right, you're the one, some of these laws aren't conducive to victims. So, but that's all I have for you today, and I'll be back next week with more of the self-defense stories, because if the criminal does not fear the police, a judge, or prison, he must be taught to fear his victims.